Greetings, fans of the iStableMaster add-on. This is Esclapius with another developer update. This is episode 2, relating to version 0.37 of the iStableMaster's add-on. This is still an alpha state, so keep in mind there's going to be a lot of bug talk and a lot of these things, blah blah blah. But we are going to show you exactly what we've been working on for the past, well, so much, 2 weeks or something like that. Something that wasn't exactly planned, but it just happened anyway. So be grateful. We have some really great fixes for you, and we have some really exciting things to show you that some of it is bugged, like straight up. And we admit that, and we are still pushing it because it does feel like there is something to it, so it looks like there's a little bit of background to fixing the bugs. We'll go over it. We'll go over it, but also get over it, probably. But so far, we'll just go through exactly what's new. So without further ado, let's bring up the iStableMaster tab. We go to speak to Murok here, who's a StableMaster, and bam! Look at that! Look at that! So, one of the new things that we have been adding here, as it's obviously very evident as one of the first things we can see, is the data fields within our 3D model frame. These are a little bugged. Now, as you can see, my Scorpit here has Deadly Sting, and it's Predator Thirst, and Primal Rage. But, as you can also see, this thing isn't updated yet. So, to make it update, we simply click on the Scorpit once. And whoops, what do you know? It doesn't eat fish, it doesn't eat cheese, it doesn't eat fungi, it doesn't eat anything except meat. And that's just great. The problem is, it doesn't always update. So this should be saying Groff. Now, it says Deadly Sting because it hasn't updated it. And it still says Predator's Thirst, and it still says Primal Rage. When we know that, well, it's Master's Call, Pathfinding, and Groff. Now, the problem here is a little unknown. We don't exactly know what's going on, but you will notice that the diets are working somewhat better, but it is just until you mess up with it a little too much. If you mess around with it too much, it just breaks. So just keep that in mind. This is perfect. This is great. And we're working on fixes for it, but it's a little mysterious because we're technically not using anything different from here, but they don't exactly work the same, so to speak. Now, what happens here as well? Well, we've added a few new tags. So if you go and select a cleft hoof, which is an exotic head or creature, you will see that it has a little exotic tag up here as well. As you can also see that in the exotic tag here within the mouse over in the scroll frame. Now, the scroll frame itself has these mouse over tooltips, which shows you the spec abilities for these. And that's great, except that it doesn't always work. Yes, I said it, it doesn't always work. Sometimes these will disappear, and it's a known issue. It's not a new known issue, it's an old known issue, and we will look into it eventually. Now, some of the things we did fix here is that we did actually change it so that the size of this, what's it called, scroll frame is resized properly to fit all of the content and no more. As long as you've turned on the filters, that is. Because if you don't turn on the filters and you start dragging and dropping, weird shit starts to happen. But, fear not. All you have to do if the weird shit starts happening is you have to go mouse over the scroll frame and just, while you're holding down the button, if you want to drag the Scorpion into an empty slot, for instance, and then you just scroll up and down with the mouse wheel and it should fix itself, and you will be capable of doing just that. Just fine. Now, let's say I wanted to put in my Wolfie. Wolfie ends up here, and you can see it still has that little bug. All you need to do is do this. And this update doesn't happen either when you search for things. It's also a known issue. Bear in mind. Another new thing that you might be able to notice and see is that we've updated the highlight of the active cards here. So, this might not be the final version. We might change it. We might not. Maybe we'll stick with it. Time will tell. Another thing we added and fixed is within the filters, I have added this thing here called worm. This wasn't here. So if you had a worm, previously you couldn't actually make sure that you could see it if you turned filters on. And I apologize for that. I didn't know this was missing until I realized that the worm that I had just tamed wasn't actually in the scroll frame. So I went through it and fixed it. But don't worry, all of this UI will get an overhaul at some point, which will also eventually fix the known issue that if you press uncheck all, it doesn't affect all of these families correctly. You can see, yeah, it works a little weird. One thing I'm very keen to show you is the other new feature that we've added. And boy, I'm excited to show you this. If you go here to the cogwheel up here, or if you go to the menu and then find interface and go to add-ons here, and go to iStableMaster, you will see that we've added something called StableMaster Layout just here. Now, what this shows you a grey boxing of the layout. It's scroll frame, active slot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and animal companion, 3D model, view, and B squads on the side. Now, but over here, what is that? What is that? Well, this, ladies and gentlemen, is the compact mode, which is inspired by this active slot layout here. So if we select that one and press apply layout, we will see a loading screen because it will reload the UI. And when we then open it up, let's get rid of that. Boom, we've got a compact mode that's not as wide as the one we saw before, and it much more closely resembles that of the Staples frame in the first place. Now we have plans to make clearer that this is the animal companion, but for now this will work somewhat neatly. Wow, somehow this now works. Would you look at that? This add-on keeps surprises. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But these blocks, apparently... Well, now it froze, but it still doesn't work for Graph. Nope. I was so excited for just a minute. Now it's bugged again. Was it even fixed? I'm not even sure. Anyway, this was the new stuff we sort of had. In the back, we've fixed some of the issues, especially for first-time users who's loading the add-on up for the first time. We're sorry that the last update we didn't catch that there was some issues with initializing the databases that meant that you couldn't actually use the add-on, and we're terribly sorry about that. We've tried our best to fix it this time around and double check that this kind of errors doesn't actually exist there anymore. There are a few known issues that are really bad, like a game crash. We cannot reproduce it, so if you get a game crash caused by the add-on, please go to the CurseForge page, go to the issues, and find the one that's already reported there. We will follow up on it as best as we can. We've not closed the issue. We believe that there might be an issue, so as long as we're not 100% certain that there is no issue, we will leave that open but tagged with cannot reproduce. We fixed a few things. We fixed family fields as worms. We fixed multi-clicking and dragging and dropping on something that isn't an actual legible or eligible slot to drop things in. So if I let go of the mouse out here, it just clears the cursor now. That would have caused an error previously. We fixed that. We also fixed some loading issues, especially if you were loading in Master's Marksman spec or Survival spec, or if you just didn't have the Animal Companion talent, you could still drag and drop this thing down here. You can still drop things on it because it's still a pet slot. technically speaking, but you cannot drag anything away from it now when this is locked. And we think we want to keep it like that. But it updates properly now, and it didn't do that before, so we fixed that at least. So those were the most pressing bug fixes. Yeah. Obviously, a lot of this stuff is still subject to change, and we hope you will stick around and help us develop things. When you find bugs, please report them. Be as detailed as you possibly can. Exact how did you produce it? Could you reproduce it? Give us a little video, some screenshots, bug grabber dumps, all that kind of stuff. It would be absolutely amazing. Anything that can help, and we'll be more than happy to engage with you. Even if it's something where you need to talk to us privately, we can figure something out with private messaging. So without further ado, let's end it with this. I'm hoping that you will enjoy it as much as I enjoy presenting it and making it, and I hope that you haven't been deterred from using the add-on the first time around because you couldn't figure out why it was so broken all the time. We've tried to fix some of those issues, so maybe that will forgive us. Maybe it won't forgive us, but yeah, we've been trying to catch all of these issues from the back end before they happen this time around, or before we push the update to a released version. So right, keep in mind this is still an alpha, even if it says released on CurseForge. It is an alpha. The CurseForge released version just means that it's more or less stable. So thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the add-on, and I hope you continue to enjoy the add-on and follow up and watch what's going to be new in the next video. Which, the next video and update will probably be a lot later this time. I said that last time as well, but I believe this time it's more likely to be true. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.